All right, this video may or may not be published. I don't know. I'm going to tell you some more behind the scenes stuff, and I'm going to decide whether or not it's something that anybody needs to know about or not. Because for me, it's behind the scenes clearly and qualifies. But so here's the deal. My website and my partnership and the LLC that I formed for this, I want to go over that a little bit, and things are changing. My partner is changing in the LLC, and I want to explain a little bit about why that's happening, why the website's changing, and what all is happening, so that you understand behind the scenes, so there's not any later rumor bullshit going on about what's going on. First of all, why an LLC? So, because we're talking about true crime, and if I haven't made this clear before, it's going to be clear now, right? Which is that because I'm talking about true crime and because I'm mentioning people's names, and sometimes I'm going to talk about alternate theories about people who may have been able to commit a murder other than the person who's accused, one could say that I'm always going to be a hair away from being sued for defamation of character. Somebody's going to say that somebody heard my podcast and decided that I gave a compelling argument, and then they decided to ruin someone's life, and it's all because I said something about somebody that was inaccurate, and I'm going to get sued for defamation of character. The LLC was designed to protect me personally from that. If I was a sole proprietorship for a business, because I mean, eventually I may make money at this. And so I know that it's going to be a business, whether it's a sole proprietorship or an LLC is the question. Because if I start making ad revenue or commercial revenue on YouTube or whatever, I'm going to have to file taxes. If I'm filing it as a sole proprietorship in the United States, that means if somebody sues me, from my understanding, and I'm not a lawyer, I've said this over and over again, if somebody sues me for defamation of character, not only do they shut down the company, they shut down my life. They take my house, they take my car, they take my bank accounts, because I and the and the sole proprietorship are one. And so anything that I say can be used against me, and all my assets can be taken from me. So the LLC, when my partner and I went into this business, is we said, hey, look, we're going to talk about true crime, and we're going to piss somebody off eventually. So we need to protect our assets, our house and our car and all the things that we love and whatever, so that the worst that happens is they drive us out of business and they destroy the business, but they don't destroy our lives. That's the whole purpose of the LLC. And again, yes, because it would be nice to make some money, because I'm retired now and I'm not working and I don't have a lot of money in the bank. And so I don't want to ask you for money, the viewer, but I would like some passive income by commercials or whatever. And I don't know that I'll ever be able to have commercials because it's true crime. And while true crime is kind of a hot thing, advertisers may be a little nervous putting their products on a true crime podcast. So I'm going to have to be figuring out how it is I can have somebody promote their product on my podcast passively, so I don't have to keep begging you for money, because that's what I don't want to do. But I'd like to be able to have, you watch an hour-long show and every once in a while an ad get put in there for something, and if you're willing to listen to it for 15, 30 seconds, then I can get some money for that, and then we both are happy. You get to watch your show for free, and I get to get a little bit of passive income. And that's going to require the LLC. So anyways, the LLC mostly is to protect myself. Well, as I was going along with my partner, I've told some people lately, and maybe you've heard me on the lives, and maybe you've heard me on the behind the stage, my partner has gotten super busy in life and just doesn't have the time to devote to this venture that I do. He has noticed, as he would call it, that I'm balls in on this thing. I'm constantly working. Every single day I'm spending hours and hours and hours. And he's got a full-time job and a very busy personal life. And so he's feeling a little bit of guilt over the fact that he just can't keep up, and nor does he want to keep up. Because again, frankly, he's not really into the true crime thing so much. He's into social issues, yes, and he's interested in the cases, yes, but I go off on crazy conspiracy theories that even he's not comfortable with. And so as I finally had to twist his arm and say, look, I don't want to remove you from the LLC just because you're busy and you're going through a personal time. However, if you truly don't have any interest in this project, maybe I can look for a different partner. And my wife, as you know, has been taking on more and more role as a moderator, and I've been referring to her as the she-devil, and people are calling her the she-devil, and people think that she's the other devil's advocate. And so my friend, my partner, my business partner, Mike, flat out said, you know, all things considered, I just don't have time for this. And I also don't have the passion that you do, and I never will have the passion that you do. And you're putting in 99% of the work, and I don't feel it's right for me to have constant veto right over what you're doing and have you run things by me and see what I think about our company when you're doing all the work and I'm not. And lastly, and the kicker for me was, to be frank, it would be probably better for me if my name wasn't on the LLC, because then there's no chance of somebody coming and suing me personally, even through the LLC, if you say something that I'm not really involved in. And that was the kicker for me. Like, I would have probably left his name on the paperwork if it was just, hey, I don't have time, and because there's no reason to remove him. But when he was also saying, hey, look, there's a small possibility that even the LLC won't protect me, and I'm not involved in it. I'm not saying the stuff that you do. And if you say something and it gets the business in trouble, why should I? You know, that's not how he worded it. I'm paraphrasing, but it was basically, why should I take the risk of being involved in paper on something that I'm not involved with? I'm just not. And so he was like, I would be happy to resign from the LLC with official letter, and you can either have it as your own LLC with the partnership of one, or you can bring your wife in as the other devil's advocates. And so along that lines, this is leading to why the website redesign. My friend Mike, being a graphics guy, convinced me to go away from a product I'm familiar with, which is WordPress, which is a simple website builder, because I focus on writing, not graphics. I focus on writing, and now, well, it used to be writing. I used to be big into blogging, and I love to write. But now I'm also just about the content. I'm a researcher and I'm a content provider, not a graphics guy. But he convinced me, because he was going to be the graphics guy, that he wanted to use Squarespace, which allowed him to work in the tool that he was much more familiar with. However, it was at least twice the price of WordPress for me. And I don't like a lot of the tools in Squarespace. It doesn't let me back up my site automatically every single day, so that if the site goes down, I have a copy of it. I would have to manually make backups, and it was a pain in the ass. And editing certain pages was an enormous pain in the ass for me, because I just didn't understand the way that they work versus WordPress. So when he decided that he's willing to bow out of the company and my wife's willing to take over, and I already have a hosting package for domain names, including that. And that's the other thing that you don't understand, but behind the scenes, right? So in order to do what we did, I had started the website and the domain under a hosting package, an internet hosting package that I own. And he decided that he wanted to try this Squarespace thing. So he bought a second domain that was similar to my domain, but not exactly the same. And then we just redirected my URL to his domain that he bought at Squarespace. And so now we're untethering those two, meaning we always gave out the domain that I have. It's just that my domain used to redirect to his domain. So if you were paying attention, you would go to, for example, devilsadvocates.info and type that in. But then when you actually hit the site and got the graphics to pull up, it would say devilsadvocatesllc.com, which is a different address. And that was his address at Squarespace. And so we're untethering those, so that now when you go to devilsadvocates.com, you're hitting a WordPress site instead of redirecting to the Devil's Advocates Group LLC. And it's a more simple site, because it's a site that I can run and I can get through. And it's got some graphics issues that I'm working on, because again, I'm a content guy. I'm not really so much into the graphics. So I got it close to looking the look I want, which is black with white lettering, which is a style I like. I know some people don't like that, but there's a light theme. You can just flip a toggle and you can have black on white instead of white on black. So if you don't like the black look, you can toggle it with a thing for readability. But the point being is that that's why the website's looking different, and that's why my business partner and I are separating. There is nothing between my partner and I that is bitterness. He and I have been best friends for 30 years. He and I talk about the cases regularly, but he doesn't research. He doesn't want to research. He's interested in my theories, but he doesn't believe in a lot of my theories, because it's just not the way he thinks. And so it's just better for him to not have any pressure. And now there's not that awkward moment where he was paying for our web hosting at twice the rate that I would pay for it at. And now I'm paying for the website all out of my own money. And it's, at half the price that we were paying before, because I already have, a hosting plan. And eventually that's going to come due, and I'm going to have to pay the piper, and it's going to be expensive. And I got to decide at that point whether I'm keeping the website, which has almost no traffic. I want to drive, my business partner in marketing told me that the website was going to be the primary source, and it was going to drive people to the other places. And that may still happen, but right now the website's virtually dead. Nobody goes there. And it takes effort, and it took a lot of effort in Squarespace because I didn't understand how Squarespace works so much. And so I was spending a lot of time. I was almost said a swear word. I was spending a lot of time getting just the basic things put into Squarespace. And then I realized nobody's looking anyways. Why am I going here every single day? So then I started getting lazy and not updating the site. And I'm like, if I go to WordPress, not only is it going to cost me half the amount of money, but I understand it so well that I can get in there and make my updates very quickly. And everything will it'll be better. I'll have more content coming out on the blog and the website. That's what's going on behind the scenes. So now you are aware, because last time something like this happened between Mike and I, it was 12, 13 years ago in the James Holmes thing, and I got spooked and I shut the website down because I was the owner of the website, and he wanted to continue the website, so I let him turn it back on without me because I got spooked. And then there was a shitstorm because everybody started to go rumors. What happened to me? What happened to the main content guy? Did somebody kill him? Has he been compromised? Did the government get to him? All kinds of crazy shit started coming out, and it was just a simple business partnership thing. I decided I was out. I didn't want to do it. And then to make it worse, I decided to get back in. I finally got over my fear and I was like, you know what, fuck it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm going to go do it again. And then I made things even worse by coming back and saying, hey, it's me again. And they're like, yep, this is a different person. He's posing as the same guy. It's not the same guy. No, and just nightmare. I've covered that before. Sorry for boring you again. So last thing to say, things are changing at Devil's Advocates. The website looks different. I don't have my partner that I used to have. My wife's going to probably take more of an active role. Hell, maybe I can have my business now be partly woman-owned business, which entitles us to some benefits because she's kind of treated like a minority. So we could apply for grants if we ever needed to or wanted to, because she's a woman and before it was owned by men only. So everything could be positive for this change, and it gets my friend out from that weird tether that he had. So there you go. Now you know the story behind the scenes of the Devil's Advocates.